Well, that makes no sense at all. Okay. Okay. Today we're going to go through the setup of an ARC server manager called ASA Dedicated Manager. So this is a brand new workstation, as you can see. Whoops. Okay. So this is the server manager that we will be using to set up our servers today. Now, there are a few prerequisites that you need. If you're on a modern OS, such as Windows 10 or 11, this manager will work. It also works for Windows Server 2019, 2022, and 2025. The next prerequisite is .NET Framework 4.8. Now, to make sure that you have 4.8, you can just type in features down here, click here, and you'll see that we have 4.8 installed. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on ASP.NET 4.8 just in case it's needed as well. And Windows will take care of setting that up for you. Takes just a second. The next thing is the VC Redistributable 2013 through 2022. This um, this gives people a little bit of an issue because this is two different downloads. There's the 2013 and then there's the 2015 to 2022. Additionally, there's the revocation list for the Epic Games Launcher installation. There's two ways to get this. You can get the actual certificate and just install the certificate, or you can do the Epic Games Launcher. These two I am not going to do because a lot of people skip over them, and I want to be able to show you what kind of errors happen whenever you do not follow the prereqs. So let's just go ahead and download. We're just going to extract that straight to the desktop. We're going to go ahead and run it. We have to allow it to. Now, this server manager requires administrative privileges. If you try to start it without running it as an administrator, it's going to pop up with this. You click yes, it will reopen it with administrator privileges, and then you're good to go. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to register an account, which I've already done. And this is what you're going to be met with. The first thing that you are going to need to do is initialize a new profile. So we need to select the server path, which for me, I always just open the C drive, make a new folder. Oop, that's not where I wanted it. Make a new folder in the C drive, and I just name it servers. The next thing that we need to do is we need to name what our profile is going to be. Since this is a tutorial, I'm just going to name it tutorial the island. And the reason why I'm adding this the island is because we're going to be making a cluster as well. So once you have your server path and your name figured out, go ahead and hit create profile, and then you'll see that it's up here in the select profile. Next thing you want to do is load profile, and now it's going to bring up the main screen. You can minimize this system message. So the first thing that you need to do is you can click reinstall SteamCMD if you want. It's just going to say that the copy is okay. The next thing that you need to do is click install server. Now this is going to take some time depending on your internet connection. So Luckily for me, I believe it takes 3 or 4 minutes, so it's not too big of an ordeal. The one thing that I wish was a little different is this installation or update log here. It is not real-time updated. It only updates every 30 to 60 seconds, so it will look like it's not doing anything, but just be patient. It is downloading. Just give it a little bit of time. Now, while we're waiting on this to install, I'm going to go ahead and point out a few things that might be catching your eye. You'll notice that there's some buttons that are yellow. So these yellow buttons, this yellow tab down here that says Find Mods, these are all premium features. And they do not restrict any functionality of the manager. It's just functions that make your life a little bit easier. So if you want to contribute to the developer, which I recommend that you do, I do myself, you can just go over to premium features here, become premium, and you can get an annual subscription or you can get a yearly subscription or an annual subscription or a lifetime subscription. Once you go through their purchase, you'll click check subscription status and it will come back that you're subscribed, and these three buttons up here, these four buttons over here, and the Find Mods tab down here will all be able to be used. And like I said, there is nothing that stops you from being able to do anything in this manager. These are just nice little additional functions. So as we can see here, it's downloading 32 gigs, and it's already about a third of the way done. So it doesn't take too long. However, if you're going to be setting up multiple servers, it's actually faster for you to copy the folder than to download it fresh. And I will be showing that as well here whenever we go to put up our second server. So while that's downloading, we can go over here and we can show a few of the options here. You can select your server platform. You can have it so that it doesn't use BattlEye if you have any issues. Sometimes dynos will fall under the mesh of the map and they'll be destroyed. You can actually turn off that mesh checking. You can turn off the mesh killing. Um, These are all just startup options that you can use. I don't typically do hardly any of them other than no BattlEye, and I've never really had any issues with it. Here in the Server Management tab is just your uh, basic ability to restart every so often. Um, So you can, like in this advanced schedule, you can set it up so that you pick a time, pick specific days, and you can have it shut down, and then you can tick this start server after shutdown so that it restarts. Now you will notice that the update server from Steam after shutdown is gold, or this yellow, which is another one of those little things that are premium features. So unfortunately, you can't have it just update at that point. However, this auto update, it says that it's a premium feature, but once the server downloads, I believe this actually changes to a regular one. So over here in backup, you can enable how often your backup interval is. I keep it at 10 minutes personally. You can choose how many files to keep from, I believe it's as little as 10 up to 300. You can also enable backups for the player profiles, and what that does is it creates a backup upon joining and upon disconnecting from the server, and you're able to restore these in case of profile corruption or map corruption. You're able to take care of all that. Unfortunately, I can't show you the game user settings or the game INI functions yet. The map management is how you're able to add custom maps into the repository so that you can run those. The mod management over here, the find mods is a nice little feature, but like I said, it's a premium feature. You are able to add mods through the mod management. You can actually see right here it has an add mod manually, and it tells you the syntax format, which is the mod name, mod ID, URL, and then you break them with a semicolon. So now that the server's installed, I can show you. You can keep as little as 5 up to 300. For player profiles, you can keep as little as 2 and up to 30. For the game user settings, this is where you do all your different configurations. So this I'm going to make tutorial, the island. I'm actually not going to change the port here because I do it in a different area. Now, one thing I will say is that let's say your server crashes and you go to make a change or something while it's off. Sometimes the file will still have its read-only property. So I'm going to make it read-only right now. And if I try to save this, you're going to see it does the backup, but it doesn't do the actual save. And anytime that you get that message, you can just click this remove read only, and then whenever you save, it's going to actually save now. Whenever you save, also go back in, check to make sure that your changes are there, reload it, make sure it's still there. Sometimes, for some reason, the file doesn't save correctly and your changes won't be there. Always double and triple check this. If for some reason it's not saving your changes, you can open the INI folder and make the actual changes right in the file itself. But whenever you make a change, whenever you save it, make sure to reload it in the manager. You always need to reload it in the manager. So, let's see, we're going to do a server platform of all. I'm just going to do no BattleEye because that's what I do. So I'm going to use this this section right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 8,000. And I'm going to make this 2740 because I know that's not being used. So let's see here. Sorry, I had to do something real quick. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is if you're making a cluster, you're going to generate a cluster ID. You're also going to create a cluster path. Now, this is something that confuses a lot of people. What I do for my cluster path is I literally go to my servers folder, create a new folder, and just call it cluster. Simple as that. And then you need to enable it and enable custom or cluster custom path. Now, we technically have this island all set up, but we also want to make another one. So really quick, what I want to do, I want to copy all this. I want to make a new folder, tutorial, the center. And I'm going to copy all this over. Now, if you look here while we're copying this over, see these .bk2s? These BK2s are the media files, the videos that play whenever you log in, find different notes, and all that on the client side. This equates up to about 20 gigs of data that you do not need. And I'll actually show you where those are. If you go to shooter game, content, and movies, this is where all these are. You can delete these. However, if you update the server, they're going to re-download. So just be aware that there's about 20 gigs of bloat that you may have to go in and delete multiple times. Now, there are ways to get around this by making symbolic links, and the premium features actually take care of this 20 gigs that so that it doesn't update every single time. But we went ahead and copied that, so I'm going to go ahead and initialize a new profile. See, servers. And this one is going to be tutorial, the center. Now you're going to see those are just because I copied some settings over. Now you're going to see that this already has the server files. It's detecting that it's already installed. It has start server selected. It already has my cluster ID. It already has my cluster custom path. Everything is the exact same. So if I start both of these right now, I'm not going to be able to see both of them because I need to come over here and change this to the center. This is important. Always remember to change your game user settings file. Reload. Okay, we're good to go. And I just want to check my backup location, make sure that it's, see, this is backing up to the other one. These are the two places that you have to change stuff. Shooter game, save arcs. Shooter game, saved arcs. And this one's going to be, we're just going to leave it in full server backup. So now this one's pointing to the center, this one's pointing to the island. So this is all pretty well set up. Now, really quick before we start something up, I want to go ahead and add a mod or two. So we'll go ahead and bring up CurseForge. There was a nice little admin tool, admin panel. So now remember, You can manually add them using this box. So we're just going to call this admin tool. You may notice that the name of this is actually admin panel. The name does not have to match. You can name it whatever you want. So name it whatever you want, put a comma. Then the next thing that we need is the project ID. Go ahead and get that in there, comma, and then the last thing that we need is the URL. And once we have all three of those, we can add it, and you can see it's right there. The last thing you need to do is click enable, or else it's not going to enable. So really quick, we're going to start up the center first, since it doesn't have any mods. So I click start server. And you'll notice that nothing's happening. The managers froze. And there's a specific reason for this. You remember those redistributables? This is what happens if you do not do the redistributables like you're supposed to. So let's go ahead and close the program. And now we're going to look up these redistributables. VC redistributable 2013 and then 2015 to 2022. Now, I do not know if it needs to be the 32-bit or the 64-bit. I just download them both. And we'll go ahead and run these. And then the other thing is the VC Redist 2015 to 2022 download. And we're just going to grab the 32-bit. And the 64-bit. Now, typically, whenever this one finishes, it's going to want you to restart your computer. Yep, there it is. So we're going to go ahead and let it restart. Okay. Run as administrator. And now let's go ahead and try and start up the center. And now it's working like it should. Now this is important right here. This is trying to make an exception in your firewall. I clicked both public and private. This is going to open up the ports for the specific server on this workstation. It's going to allow other workstations on your network to be able to get into that server. And you can verify this by going to your firewall, clicking the Allow an App or Feature through Windows Defender Firewall, and you'll see here Arc Survival, Arc Ascended Server is both allowed public and private. And if you click on details, you can see all the different information. Doesn't tell you much, but at least here, if you go into your firewall rules, it will tell you exactly which ports you're opening. Oh, and I just noticed something. One last change that I forgot to make, which people forget about this a lot, is to actually change the map folder whenever you make another server, or else it's just going to default to the island. So let's go ahead and get that started again. Now, even though it says it's successfully started at this point, it is not up or joinable. You'll see it load up, you'll hit ticking loop, but we're waiting for this yellow light here by the status to go green, and there'll be one more line in the log that comes up. Each server is going to take between 10 and 20 gigs of RAM, depending on how large the map is. And depending on how fast it can load all the information into your RAM is how fast your server is going to start up. If you're loading it from a hard drive, it's going to take significantly longer from a solid state drive. If you have a newer computer that's running DDR5 RAM, it's going to be significantly faster than one that runs DDR4. This workstation right here is running DDR4 with a 3rd gen solid state drive. So not as fast as what it could be, but it's a good example of what you may be running on. Okay, so it should be any second. We've gotten the line server has completed startup and is now advertising for join, and it says server ready with a green dot. That's what we want to see. So at this point, we can go over here to the game and we can try to find it. Now, this is another common issue that people run into. Any server that you're going to host is going to show up under unofficial. It's going to show up under show player servers. However, by default, it's going to be a password protected server. If you don't have this show password protected servers checked, it's not going to come up. However, as soon as I check that, you can see right there's our server. So let's go ahead and join it. And as you can see, we can get in. We can load the game. Everything is A-OK. Now, if we go back to our server manager here, we can actually check this, and it didn't make a backup for me. Oh well. But the next step is to start up the island so that we have our cluster started. Now, I'm going to run into an error here, and I want to show you all it, which is why I didn't do the other prerequisite. So, actually, it looked like it did it. Request install. It did do it. So occasionally you're going to hit an error. Don't know why I didn't hit it, but if you ever load a mod and you get an error during boot up and it crashes, or your mod just doesn't load, it's because of that other requirement, the Amazon certificate. I don't know why mine didn't need it, but the easiest way to get this certificate is to just download the Epic Games Launcher. It'll keep itself up to date. The alternative way, which is the way that I do it, is you can just search the web for that exact thing. And you'll see right here that there's a URL that ends in CRL. So we're just going to go to that. And you can see it downloaded a file. Whenever we open it, you'll see R2MO2. And this is a certificate revocation list. All you have to do is right click on it, hit install CRL, follow the prompts, just click next, next, finish. You'll get a message saying the import was successful, and it's good to go. Now we can see that the island is up now. So let's go back to our game. And now whenever we search for a tutorial, we should have two distinct servers now. Now, you'll note that the center is gold. That is because it's the last server that I was on that is part of that cluster. So if I go to the island right now, it's going to ask me to create a new character. So I don't want to do that. I want to be able to transfer my character. So we'll go back into the center. We'll see we loaded in with no problem. Okay, so let's just go up here to this and make sure that our cluster is working correctly now. So now we want to travel to another server. We want to go to the island, our only other server. It's installing the mod that I have selected. And we can see that we can load in to the island. So our cluster is set up correctly and it's able to work. And it looks like our mod is working correctly. So that is a quick rundown on basic server configuration. For the ASA Dedicated Server Manager. Really quick though, let me see here. So here is the one that's running in my cluster. Now, as you can see, I pay for the premium features, so we'll just go over them really quick. The Find Mods tab is a great resource. It expedites stuff. So as you saw, we did the admin panel before. So I can literally search that and it comes up. And for me to add the mod, I just click Add Mod. It's going to tell me that it's already added. And as simple as that, it's added. And then all I have to do is click Enable. It is a really nice functionality. You can do it the manual way still. It's not that big of an issue. It's just a little perk that they have for premium users. The other thing that you can do is the SteamCMD cache update, PrivateCDN cache update, and update reboot automation settings. So your SteamCMD cache update, you will make a cache folder, which I did the same as I did with my cluster. I just literally made a folder called cache. And what this is going to do is it's going to download the entire server files in that cache directory. Whenever an update happens, it's going to download it to that folder first, and then it's going to copy those updated files to your individual servers. You can do it manually through this, or it can be automated. And one of the nice things about the cache manager is that if you look down here, you can exclude that movies directory, which saves 20 gigabytes of data per server. So right now I have 229 gigs on this disk drive. I can expand this because it's a virtual machine, but if I had those 20 gigabytes of movie files, I would need this to be almost 300 gigs right now just with the 4 servers that I have. So that saving that 20 gigs really does make a difference. Yes, the private CDN works the same exact way. It's just a different method other than SteamCMD to update. Now the update reboot automation settings. This will supersede anything that you have under server management. See how all my stuff is pretty much unchecked. These are all red, they're off. That's because these update reboot automation settings take priority. So you can set your update checking. You can apply the updates to all the profiles or only to the update cache. You can exclude the cinematics here. I do it both places just to make sure that nothing causes hiccups for me. You can also have it so that it gives a warning in the chat however many minutes out. You can make this as little as 5 minutes, you can make it as big as 10 minutes, and every minute from the moment that it detects an update, it's going to print this message in the chat to give people a chance to get safe, get somewhere where they're not going to lose their items or their dynos. It gives them a chance to wrap up whatever they're doing. This just points to the cache folder again. You can choose your update method here. You don't have to use CDN and CMD. You can use, you just make a choice on which one you use and just stick with it. Over on the right, you can have it do your server restarts. You can choose the days of the week. I always have mine to schedule one time a day around 3 a.m. and then it restarts once they're down. You can actually set this up so that it restarts twice a day if for some reason you need that additional reboot for stability purposes. You'll also be able to exclude certain servers from this restart schedule. So it does give you a lot of functionality in here. Really quick, I wanted to show you uh, I'm just trying to check out something really quick. Let me get you over to that side. So, if you have a dedicated machine that you just want your servers running all the time, you'll want to enable this start with Windows up here. Now, I've had some issues with that, so whenever you tick this, it's going to add a scheduled task. So uh, after you check it, you'll want to open up your task scheduler, double click on task scheduler library, and you'll see that ASA Dedicated is now there. You'll want to double click this. Now, the only issue that you'll want to change here is that it needs to run with the highest privileges, your administrator privileges. For some reason, that is not enabled by default, so make sure to click that. And I always just configure this for Windows 10. I don't know why it defaults to this Vista Server 2008, but I've had the best stability for this not losing this run with highest privileges option with it configured for Windows 10. So you'll want to click OK, and that's going to allow you to have this start up whenever the computer restarts. The other thing that you need to enable is this auto start at launch. That's going to enable this server to power up whenever the manager starts up. Again, I don't know why this shutdown server is not working. Typically, this shutdown server at will allow you to check it. For some reason, mine isn't. Last time I checked, it was not a premium feature. And last time I checked, it did not have to be online to do it. But we'll give it a chance. Um, Now, sometimes you'll have some issues with performance, and you can select your CPU cores and assign specific cores. I have never had to enable Affinity, but sometimes people do get um, better performance with that. Now, you'll also notice that the server's up to date right now, but you might be wondering how you update your server whenever the official server network gets further ahead. Well, for that, you literally just have to click Stop, Update, Restart All Servers, and typically it's going to sense that update and take care of it. I guess this changed recently because I'm not seeing it enable. But that pretty much wraps it up. Um, I didn't get to encounter all the different bugs that people run into, but this is just a quick, comprehensive guide to getting your servers up, getting it so that it's working in a cluster configuration without too many hiccups. One last thing I will say though is whenever you go to add a mod, if it's a cosmetics mod, it's not going to work. Your cosmetics mods typically are only on the client side, not on the server, unless it's adding new structures. So if it's just a reskin, it's not, even in your find mods, it's not going to populate because it's not compatible with the server. So just keep that in mind if you're having trouble getting a mod to apply, it may be because of that. But I think that wraps it up. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't see anything else that. Oh, there was one last thing. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill these since I know no one's on them. Always stop the server so it doesn't save. I'm not worried about corrupting data or anything right now. So, um, the last thing that I wanted to show you is sometimes you'll go through and you'll be changing stuff on specific servers. So let's say you want a lot more crafting skill um, bonus multiplier. You want a lot more XP. You want your generic XP to be increased a little bit. You want your kill XP to be really high and your harvest XP to be really high. It's a little tedious to copy these settings over, correct? And I can save them. And they're there. But to get them over to here, I'd have to copy values or type them in and everything, correct? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can use the synchronization window. So what this does is you can select specific values from the file that you're in, which I'm just going to sync all the player settings, and then I can choose which map to sync them to. So I'm going to sync them to the island since I made these changes on the center. I'm going to synchronize. I didn't get any errors, so now I'm going to go over to the island, and it may look like it's not there at first, but remember, you always have to reload your game INI, or game user settings INI. And as soon as I reload them, you can see all those values are there. And this is especially helpful in your custom overrides. Let's say you want to make it so that specific animals have additional point multipliers for different skills. This is especially nice. Um, like, let's say you want to make your weight have 2 points instead of 1. You want your stamina to have 5 instead of 1. Well, you save it just like you did before. You refresh. It's still there. And then what you can do is you can come back over to the game INI sync window and you'll see that all of your dino stats are here now. So that was for a Rex. So if I go over and synchronize this to the center, I can look at my game overrides per level stats. You see my Rex there. And if I refresh, right there it is. And there's that 5 in stamina and 2 in weight. It's as simple as that. So that synchronization window is really, really helpful in making sure that all of your servers have the exact same configuration. It's a really nice tool. Just remember, always refresh and double check that it's saved. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. It's just under an hour. Let me see here. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and raid to FubaKeys. Since this tutorial is over, I hope that this has been educational for you and it solves any issues that you might encounter when setting up a server. Have a nice day, everyone. Have a good one, Goblin.